Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome to the GMB channel. Hope you will enjoy our video. Before we begin, hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here is the news title. WASPI campaigners threaten legal action over Labor's gaslighting. The Women Against State Pension Inequality campaign said that it will not allow Labor's gaslighting of women to go unchallenged. WASPI campaigners have issued a stark warning to the government, threatening legal action if it does not reconsider its refusal to compensate millions of women hit by changes to the state pension age. A watchdog has suggested compensation for 1950s-born women affected by the equalization of the state pension age with men, but Sir Keir Starmer has dismissed the possibility, citing an unaffordable $10.5 billion cost. The Women Against State Pension Inequality Group has fired off a letter before action to the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, signaling potential high court proceedings, unless the matter is settled. Angela Madden, the chairwoman, has vowed that WASPI members will not stand for the DWP's gaslighting of their plight. The campaigners argue that the government's rejection of the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman, PHSO, report, which recommended payments of up to $2,150 per woman, is legally wrong. With a $75,000 crowd justice fund backing their legal challenge, the group has given the government a 14-day ultimatum before proceeding with the case. Senior labor figures including Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, and Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall, who previously supported the WASPI cause while in opposition, but are now facing scrutiny. Approximately 3.6 million UK women have been impacted by the retirement age adjustments first outlined in the 1990s to align with men's retirement age. The government has been embroiled in controversy over the delayed notification to women born in the 1950s about changes to their state pension age. The blunder, which occurred more than a decade ago under the conservative Liberal Democrat coalition, involved a 28-month delay in informing these women of the changes, an error for which the government has since apologized. Despite research suggesting that by 2006, 90% of women affected were aware of the pension age revision, WASPI campaigners argue that the lack of timely communication caused significant financial distress and upheaval in retirement planning. Madden expressed her frustration, saying, "The government has accepted that 1950s-born women are victims of maladministration, but it now says none of us suffered any injustice." She believes this stance is not only outrageous, but also legally incorrect. Ms. Madden continued with determination. "We have been successful before, and we are confident we will be again." She urged the Secretary of State to engage in discussions about compensation, stating, "But what would be better for everyone is if the Secretary of State now saw sense and came to the table to sort out a compensation package." She warned that without such action, the government would be defending the indefensible, potentially in court. A government spokesperson responded to the criticism, acknowledging the maladministration and the apology issued for the delay in communication. "We accept the Ombudsman's finding of maladministration and have apologized for there being a 28-month delay in writing to 1950s-born women." However, evidence showed only 1 in 4 people remember reading and receiving letters that they weren't expecting, and that by 2006, 90% of 1950s-born women knew that the state pension age was changing. Earlier letters wouldn't have affected this. For these and other reasons, the government cannot justify paying for a $10.5 billion compensation scheme at the expense of the State Pension Inequality. WASPI campaign has launched a renewed legal battle against the UK government, accusing the Labour Party of gaslighting millions of 1950s-born women affected by the state pension age changes. With legal action looming, the campaigners are determined to secure justice and compensation for those who suffered financial and emotional distress due to maladministration by the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP. WASPI campaigners have issued a letter before action to the DWP, giving the government 14 days to reconsider its stance on compensating the affected women. If the government fails to act, the campaigners are prepared to escalate the matter to the High Court. The legal push follows the government's rejection of a Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman, PHSO, recommendation that suggested payments of up to $2,150 per woman. Angela Madden, chairwoman of WASPI, condemned the government's refusal to acknowledge the injustice caused by the delayed communication of pension age changes. She stated, "The government has accepted that 1950s-born women are victims of maladministration, but it now says none of us suffered any injustice. This is outrageous and legally incorrect." The Labour Party, once a vocal supporter of WASPI, is now facing backlash for backtracking on its promises. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, and Work and Pensions Secretary Liz Kendall have been criticized for their apparent U-turn on the issue. While in opposition, Labour expressed support for the affected women, but now in power, they argue that compensating 3.6 million women is unaffordable, with an estimated cost of $10.5 billion. The controversy dates back to the 1995 and 2011 pension acts, which increased the state pension age for women to equalize it with men. However, many women claim they were not adequately informed about the changes, leading to financial hardship. A report found that the government delayed informing affected women by 28 months, a failure for which it has since apologized. Despite the government's claim that by 2006, 90% of affected women were aware of the pension age revisions, WASPI maintains that the delay in communication caused significant disruption to retirement planning. The group has amassed $75,000 through crowd justice to support its legal challenge. Madden remains steadfast, warning the government that failure to engage in discussions about compensation will lead to a legal battle they cannot win. "We have been successful before and we are confident we will be again," she asserted. "What would be better for everyone is if the Secretary of State now saw sense and came to the table to sort out a compensation package. Otherwise, they will be defending the indefensible in court." A government spokesperson reiterated its position, stating, "We accept the Ombudsman's finding of maladministration and have apologized for the 28-month delay in writing to 1950s-born women. However, evidence shows only 1 in 4 people remember receiving letters they weren't expecting, and by 2006, 90% of affected women knew about the state pension age changes. Earlier letters wouldn't have changed this. For these and other reasons, the government cannot justify a $10.5 billion compensation scheme at the taxpayer's expense. As the legal battle unfolds, the WASPI campaigners remain resolute in their pursuit of justice. Their case highlights the broader issue of state accountability in communicating policy changes that directly impact people's lives. With millions of women affected, the pressure on the government to find a fair resolution demands answers over license fee payers' cash for BBC outrageous Hamas film. The BBC has removed a controversial BBC documentary, which prominently featured the son of a Hamas official. Kemi Badenoch has demanded to know if license fee cash was given to Hamas terrorists during the making of a controversial BBC documentary. The Tory leader called for an investigation into any potential collusion with Hamas and the possibility of payment to terrorists in a letter to the corporation. She threatened to pull her party's support for the license fee if there was not serious action, making clear that senior BBC executives should be part of any investigation. Mrs. Badenoch said apparent bias in the BBC's reporting of the conflict was not an isolated incident, and any review must root out the systemic and institutional bias against Israel. The broadcaster apologized and removed Gaza. How to survive a war zone from its iPlayer service when it emerged. The son of a Hamas minister featured prominently in the film. Abdullah al-Yazuri, the documentary's 14-year-old narrator and central figure, is the son of Ayman al-Yazuri, the deputy minister of agriculture in the Hamas-run government. Viewers were not made aware of the connection. The hour-long program aired on February 17 at 9 p.m. on BBC Two and was also available on BBC iPlayer. However, it is now not currently available when accessed on the demand service. The BBC confirmed the documentary was removed, while further due diligence is conducted by the corporation. Mrs. Badenoch said, "The BBC must recognize how serious these allegations are for its public standing. The BBC's Middle East coverage is widely regarded as unreliable. The Conservative Party has supported the BBC in government including through the current charter, which will end in 2027. I cannot see how my party could support the continuation of the current license fee-based system without serious action by the BBC management to prove the organization is committed to true impartiality. Meanwhile, senior MPs will grill BBC bosses on a controversial documentary accused of offering a propaganda tool for Hamas. Caroline Dinenage, the Tory chairwoman of the Commons Culture, Media and Sport Committee, said the issue will be raised when the broadcaster next appears before MPs. She said, "It's something that we will be raising when the BBC next appears in front of us, and it's likely to come up when I meet with the committee on Tuesday. It is something that will be of huge concern. You just want to feel that the BBC is impartial and is doing their due diligence." It comes as Jewish protesters plan to stage a demonstration outside the BBC for whitewashing terrorism with pro-Hamas propaganda. The Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, CAA, is set to besiege Broadcasting House in London, accusing the national broadcaster of taking a pro-Palestinian stance in its coverage of the Israel-Hamas war. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy is set to meet BBC bosses, including Director General Tim Davie and Chairman Samir Shah, in the wake of the outrage. The BBC apologized for omitting detail about the narrator and his relationship with a Hamas leader. It said, "The film remains a powerful child's eye view of the devastating consequences of the war in Gaza, which we believe is an invaluable testament to their experiences, and we must meet our commitment to transparency." It added, "There have been continuing questions raised about the program, and in the light of these, we are conducting further due diligence with the production company. The program will not be available on iPlayer while this is taking place. So, what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comment below. If you like my video, please press like button and subscribe for more. Hope I'll see you in next video.